Hi friends, welcome all to the new video of Page Turners. Here I am with the beautiful play Hamlet by William Shakespeare. And let me go through the play directly. And about the play, it was the play written by William Shakespeare and it is the revenge tragedy. It was written between 1599 to 1601. It is the longest play with 29,551 words. It is the play in verse. The language used is early modern English. It ranks in the list of Royal Shakespeare Company and its predecessors in Stratford upon Avon since 1879. The story of Hamlet, derived from the legend of Hamlet, preserved by 13th century chronicle Saxon Grammaticus in his Danish patriotic work Gesta Danorum of 12th century. It was originally named as Earth Hamlet. Richard Babbage, he played the title role in the first performance. And about the procastination. It is the concept used by William Shakespeare in the case of Hamlet. It means a plot device to prolong the action, and here the action is to kill his uncle, to kill the Hamlet's uncle. And its setting is in Elsinore of Denmark. We could see Gothic elements in this play, and it is the image of ghost of the father Hamlet who died before. And there is a play in a play. It is called the Mousetrap play. I will go through it when I discuss the whole summary of play. And the next one is the Gravedigger Scene. It is also very important part in this play. Next one is the duel. Duel or the fence match between Eliot and Hamlet. It is towards the end of the play. And the next one is importance of soliloquy. Soliloquies are very much important in this play and I will go through it later. Now let us discuss about the characters in Hamlet's play. Hamlet, the son of the late king and nephew of the present king Claudius. Claudius, king of Denmark, Hamlet's uncle and brother to the former king. Gertrude, queen of Denmark and Hamlet's mother. Polonius, chief counselor to the king. Ophelia, Polonius' daughter as well as the lover of Hamlet. Horatio, the very best friend of Hamlet. Leotus, Polonius' son and Ophelia's brother. Voltimand and Cornelius, they are the courtiers. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, they are the courtiers or the schoolmates or the friends of Hamlet. Osric is a courtier as well as the messenger who is appeared in the last scene, and thus it was a very important part. And the next one is Marcellus, an officer. Bernardo, another officer. Francisco, a soldier. Reynaldo, who is the Polonius' servant. Ghost, the ghost of Hamlet's father. Fortinbras, Prince of Norway. Gravediggers, a pair of sextons. Here is also two clowns appearing in the along with gravediggers. And some of the players who are mentioned, I already mentioned about the play within a play, the Mousetrap play. For that, Hamlet calling for some of the players and they arrived for the purpose of play. Those players act the role of player king, player queen, Lucianus. Now, let us go through the summary of the play. I'm not telling it in very order. I want you to get the concept. So, first of all, I can say that in the very beginning of the play, the father Hamlet is already dead. His ghost is appear in the scene. The father Hamlet has no direct role in this play. The background of the play told that the father Hamlet was dead or murdered in his garden by pouring the poison to his ears. And the question is, who is the murderer? Now, when this occurs, or it is the morning time of the death of Father Hamlet, and son Hamlet or the Prince Hamlet was not there at this particular time, and he was in his school at Wittenberg. Later, he came from the when he heard of the news of his father's death, and when he arrived at Denmark, the city of Denmark, he was so astonished to see the events and uneven things. His father was dead, and it was the morning time. His uncle, named Claudius, who became the next king of Denmark. How it happened? Something was rotting in the city of Denmark. What is rotting here? He saw when he was in his room. When he looked through the windows, he saw there was an occasion, celebration taking place, but it was not the Prince Hamlet's marriage, but it was his mother's marriage with Claudius. Now you can understand how Claudius, the brother of Father Hamlet, become the next king. How he got the throne by the marriage between the widow of Father Hamlet. And here, the son Hamlet or the Prince Hamlet was not happy to see this marriage, because he can accept, because it was a morning time, and his mother was in mourning. How she could arrange a marriage for her this much hurriedly? She called or spotting at his mother. He even speaks that frailty thy name is woman, because this was an uneven thing. A death was taking place and a marriage on other side. Husband dead and the wife is getting ready hastily for her marriage. It was something disturbing for Hamlet, but he just kept silent. It was the background, very background of the play. And when the play begins, we could see the courtiers and the officers, especially Bernardo. They are discussing about the ghost they met. They explain it to Bernardo explained it to the Francisco, and later they both discuss it with Horatio. They witnessed the ghost, and they find it similar to the ghost of Father Hamlet, and they informed it to Hamlet. Prince Hamlet told Horatio to ask what he wants, and the ghost wanted to talk with his son Prince Hamlet. When there was a conversation between Prince Hamlet and Father Hamlet, we could really understand that the background, how the father was dead, how he was murdered by pouring poison to his ears by his very brother Claudius. This was cannot accepted by Hamlet, Prince Hamlet. So he was in mad or terrific condition. He cannot really know what is true. Can he believe this ghost like that? But he want to confirm this, whether his uncle is the murderer. So for that, he took an idea. It is the play within a play. He called for some of the players from other plays, and they arrived at his castle. He wanted to avenge his father's death, but not hurrying up just after the word of Father Ghost. He wishes to have a strong proof before he take the revenge. So, what happened is Hamlet receives the players and plans plans with them to stage a play, and the play actually named the Mousetrap play, but the play they staged there was the murder of Gonzago. The murder of Gonzago, with same modifications in the with some of the modifications in the speeches. Actually, it titled the Mousetrap because it is very resemblance with the murder of Father Hamlet. There the characters appears player king, player queen, Lucianus like that. And after the play, he looked to the very face of Claudius and Gertrude. From their from their emotions, from their face, Prince Hamlet could realize the truth. He confirmed the story of Ghost. He now understood that the murderer of his father's death was Claudius, and Gertrude had a hand in it. Actually, Father Hamlet advised Hamlet not to revenge on his mother until she realizes her mistake, and not to attack his own mother. It is about the play within a play. After he's planning, Hamlet shares this with Horatio, and there he is self-planning how to murder King Claudius. He is in very hasty to marry, but there is you can see the concept of procrastination. The very murder is prolonging and prolonging. He have enough and enough chance to murder, but it is not happening till the we know that it is a 5 act play, and till the 5th act it is procrastination. There is no murder of Claudius. It is prolonging and prolonging. And very first time when he tried, he was in the chamber of his mother Gertrude, who was discussing about the mousetrap play. At that time, he notices someone is standing behind the tapestry, and it was he suddenly hastily stabs at the man behind the tapestry. But unfortunately, it was Polonius, who was the father of Ophelia, or the chief counselor of the castle. They now we can understand why Polonius is there in Gertrude's chamber, because after the play, Claudius understood that Prince Hamlet have some suspicion on him on the murder of Father Hamlet. So he wanted to know what he really knows about the murder, or why he conducted this play like that. So he appointed Polonius to know or to find about the reason of his madness. Hamlet is showing madness over everywhere. He just we cannot say just acting. Sometimes it's be the part of his life because the things are happening like that. So when Polonius was hearing behind the tapestry, he was stabbed. Actually, Polonius thought that the whole madness of Hamlet is because of the love relation between Ophelia, and he wanted Ophelia to be away from Hamlet. Also, Leotus, his brother, who returned from the schooling from France, also advises Ophelia to be away from the prince. Now, what happened is Polonius was dead, and they want to hide this dead body, and he do it with some of the courtiers. Hamlet do it with some of the courtiers. Then Claudius want Hamlet to be exiled from there. For that, he appointed Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. They both were appointed. They both were the schoolmates of or the friends of Hamlet, and they both were sent along with Hamlet to other place, England, for exiling, along with a letter to the Englishmen. But actually, this letter was to an advice to the Englishmen to execute Hamlet when he reached at England. They don't know about the letter, but Hamlet had some suspicion on that letter, and what he did is he escaped from there, and it was Rosencrantz and Guildenstern only went to England. When they reached there, they were murdered accordingly to the letter. And we can see Tom Stoppard's novel Rosencrantz and Guildenstern were dead. He wrote about that particular incident. And when Hamlet returned, he returned to the Horatio and asked what happened. They were just actually he was acting madly. When Ophelia came to him and asked for the reason of his madness, he understood that she also took part in the cheating of Gertrude and Claudius. It is not the direct part, but she also be with them to know about the madness. But he was not ready at all to reveal it to anybody. Instead, he advised her, Ophelia, to be a nun and not to marry. And she was also become mad and wandered here and there because her father was murdered by his lover. His lover was not at all being so kind to her. So she is wandering here and there, and finally she committed suicide by drowning in water. Laertes informed by the death of his father and sister, and but Hamlet was not informed by the death of his lover. When he came, he saw some of the grave diggers and two clowns are seen in the churchyard or the grave. It is in the Act 5, first scene. We can see the grave digger scene. It is very important scene. In that scene, they are digging. Actually, the grave diggers are digging the what we can say Ophelia's grave, and they found a skull from there. It was the skull of Yorick, and it has the importance that Yorick is a courtier of Hamlet's castle, and he played a lot with Yorick when he was a young boy or a child. Now he is remembering that the Yorick, it is the condition of human beings. He was once in castle, but now in what is the condition of Yorick? He is becoming bonds now. The grave diggers are now taking these bones or throwing away the skull using their spade. What is the condition of life? Actually, this grave digger scene is a symbolism of death. It is the remember it. It is a reminder of death. Death is an inevitable part of life. Hamlet is memorizing his courtier Yorick, who lived very fashionably and happily in those days, but now he is in soil. This is the condition of human. There is no existence forever. Once we have to go to the soil. It's a reminder. It's a very tricky reminder. And now actually the grave diggers were in confusion whether it should have a Christian burial or not, because actually she committed suicide, and the two clowns are singing there. And when Hamlet and Horatio arrived near the grave of Ophelia. They actually don't know whose grave is this, but later they saw the body of Ophelia. Hamlet and Laertes left in grief. Both of them had a fight on Ophelia's and Polonius' death. And at that time, what Hamlet says is 40,000 brothers could not have loved Ophelia as much as he did. This proved his extreme level of love for Ophelia. Now, in between the fight, they heard Osric is coming, and he is a messenger here who is informing about a fence match or a duel. It is between, actually, this duel is between Hamlet and Laertes. It was arranged by Claudius, and Claudius secretly met Laertes and informed that I arranged two things. First one, the cup of poison. Secondly, the poisoned sword. When the sword wounds Hamlet, of course he will be killed. Or if he wins the match, surely he will be given the cup of wine as a success, as part of success. And after drinking that, he would be dead. This is the plan of Claudius. And it was the duel match taking place, and they were fought. Hamlet and Laertes were fighting hard and hard. Actually, Hamlet was apologized for the mistake mistake he had done. It was the murder of Polonius. It was unknown to him. He thought it was Claudius and stabbed, and he apologized for that and took part in the fence. And in between, both Laertes and Hamlet was wounded by the sword, and both were poisoned. At that time, Laertes informed the cheating act of Claudius. Due to the part of triumph, the Gertrude on what we can say on excess of happiness, or to overcome with joy, she drinks a cup of wine from the which is meant for Hamlet, and it was the poison, and she died. This time Laertes wounds Hamlet with the poisoned sword, and also Laertes too wounded by his own sword. Laertes revealed all the cheating of Claudius, and what happened is Hamlet plunged the sword into the king's heart. Now, what happened is all the royal members of the family were dead. Now we can say that it is a revenge, or it is a procrastination of the murder of Claudius, which prolonged from the very beginning of the play. And this time, Osric announces the warlike approach of 14 brass. Actually, in the beginning, I wanted to tell you that before the death of what we can say Father Hamlet, he fought with a Norwegian king, Father 14 brass, and defeated him. And after some years, they are actually the Denmark city is waiting for the return of 14 brass, the son 14 brass and his army, and it is this time they are approaching. When 14 brass and his army came there, he saw the Denmark royal members were dead and their bloodshed. It was Horatio who survived. He informed 14 brass about what happened in the tragic life of Hamlet. And 14 brass was out of his temper and anger, and he was elected to be the next king and there was a new Danish history we can see. This is the beautiful play of William Shakespeare, that is the Hamlet. And this is a very short summary I told. The very important thing is the Gravedigger Scene, the play within a play, and the theme Soliloquy, like that. Now, let us go through the themes. The first one is revenge. We can say that revenge is a theme. It is a revenge tragedy. The son Hamlet is taking revenge for his father's death. No, father's murder. He is avenging for killing his own uncle who murdered his father, and also avenging for the mother, not attacking her, but he is actually attacking on her mind for the action she had done. And the second revenge is the revenge of son Fortinbras for the death of his own father, and he is approaching Denmark to kill Father Hamlet as a revenge. And second is madness. Madness means pretend. Madness pretend to be, or we can say Hamlet is pretending to be mad to find the truth regarding his father's death. And Claudius is the partition in murder. So he is very much eager to know whether the ghost story is truth or not. So Hamlet is acting, or we can say it should be a real madness in him, or acting that he uh, is shown in the play. And the second one is Polonius thought the cause of the murder is due to Hamlet's love of Ophelia and to get her. It was the thought of Polonius. In that case, he stood behind the tapestry and was murdered by Hamlet. This death, the news of Polonius made Ophelia to be mad and commit suicide. Next one is the weakness of women, especially the women whom are very dearer to Hamlet, but both of them were cheated. The only two women in this play are Mother Gertrude and Ophelia, his lover. Mother marrying his uncle soon after the death of father was unacceptable for Hamlet. Similarly, Ophelia, who obeyed her father and Pallas, she came for the conversation with Hamlet to know the truth on his madness, and also she committed suicide. This all shows the weakness of women characters in this play. Now let us go through the important soliloquy. There is a lot of soliloquy in this play, but I'm only considering this one. This is very important. Let me read it out. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether it's nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them to die, to sleep no more, and by a sleep to say we end. The heartache and a thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to, it's a consummation, devotee to be wished, to die, to sleep, perchance to dream. Ay, thus the rub, for in the sleep of death what dreams may come, when we have shuffled off this mortal coil, must give us pause, thus the respect that makes calamity of so long life. The above lines are a part of a famous soliloquy, and it was uttered by Hamlet in this play. Hamlet's father's ghost had told him about the death, and he has to murder his uncle Claudius, who was now the king of Denmark. This celebrated speech is the most discussed in Shakespeare. It is also the most misinterpreted one. Whatever the critics may have thought, there is no denying the fact that suicide appeals to every human sensibility considerably. Yet the views are not that of Shakespeare. He was too grand, too moralistic, too intellectual to ever consider suicide as an alternate to end life agonies, and those who thought that Hamlet is the brooding Shakespeare could not have done the dramatist a greater disservice. If anything, Shakespeare would have wanted us to live life through a rational code, through our own creative effort and devoid of intellectual timidity. Now, let us go through some of the critical readings on this play. The psychoanalytic reading of this character Hamlet is shown here. That is, critics examined Hamlet's unconscious desire to murder his uncle, and they argue that it is a sorry, it is a dramatization of the complex philosophical and ethical issues that surrounded the cold-blooded murder, a calculated revenge, and a frustrating desire to murder. Another one is the feminist reading. Feministic critics have re-evaluated and attempted to bring back it to the normal case, and it is often malignated the characters of Ophelia and Gertrude. And the very important one is Hamlet as an artistic failure. Hamlet as an artistic failure was by T.S.A. 20th century writer T.S. Eliot in his essay, and according to him, what he meant is that he is considering Hamlet is the Mona Lisa of literature. It is because the work that is so interesting, but also it is not a work of art. It means that the writer is here unable to objectify his emotions. And also, there is two reasons he is explaining for that. First one is the work of art should be read in the context of the literary tradition and on which an individual work is built and of which it is a part. That is, Shakespeare drew the material for his Hamlet from the plays of Thomas Kyd but failed to make his play correspondent to the original material. In Kyd's version, revenge motive as is the core of the play, but here the play is procrastination and prolonging the action of murder. That is, in Kyd's version, he is showing Hamlet's madness, but it is only designed. It is only designed, what we can say, in order to avoid the people's suspicion of on the ability to murder a king, even though he is surrounded by bodyguards. But in Shakespeare's Hamlet, what happens is characters' madness arouse here the king's suspicion. Okay, and the delay in revenge goes unexplained. Some scenes are, especially of Polonius, explained unsatisfactory to the critics or the readers, because Shakespearean Hamlet is dealing with the effect of mother's guilt upon her son. But Shakespeare was unable to impose this motive successfully, and thus the play cannot do any justice to the original play. And the second reason is the lack of objective correlative. It is the term used by T.S. Eliot in this play Hamlet when he wrote the essay, and in that actually Shakespeare is creating the character possessing emotion in excess. It is because what we can say, the emotions has no equivalent to the action of character, other facts, or to the details in the play. If Hamlet is an adolescent, we can say it is his inability to express the intense emotion. That would be understandable, but here he is actually a matured man. The lack of objective correlative, which is the only way of expressing the emotion. We know that objective correlative means it is now using an object we are relating our emotions, but here the help of he can use the emotions to relate with the help of set of objects, situations and chain of events, which is the main cause of that emotion. But Hamlet is dominated by an emotion which is unexpressible here, and it is caused by his mother's action also. It is a feeling which he cannot even understand, and his mother's character is also portrayed so negative here, and Hamlet cannot express the emotion through this art. This is what the modernist critic T.S. Eliot expressed his views. And the next one is Oedipus Complex. We can say that it is also about Sigmund Freud, who sees Hamlet the operation of his famous theory Oedipus Complex, and he is the tragic hero who has the roots in the same as Oedipus Rex. How it is, we can go through it. Actually, Hamlet wanted to kill Claudius as part of his revenge on the murder of his own father by the task given by the ghost Hamlet. But he cannot do that. He is procrastinating the action. Why? Why? There is a question. Why? Hamlet by mistake murdered Polonius with sword. Then why can't he murder Claudius so fast as that? Why he is not doing that? What prevents him in doing that? It is the question. Here, Freud mean that Hamlet finds his desire of killing his own father and sleep with or share his life with his own mother. This was an act he kept in his mind when he was a very young child or in his childhood. Then he thought of killing his own father so that he could be always with his mother. This action in his subconscious mind or unconscious mind is revealed through the action of Claudius' murder of his father. So, what we can say, it was actually the repressed vision or wish of his own childhood, and in this childhood, Hamlet wanted to do the same action what his uncle did. So this reminds him that he is no better than the sinner whom he is going to punish, because he also had that thought in his mind. And murdering his uncle means killing his own self. But at the end, he kills Claudius very fast, and this is because of the temper. What is the reason for the temper? The reason is that his mother died of the poison in the wine, and the death of his mother made him so hasty for the death of Claudius. This is the what we can say. This is the view of Sigmund Freud, and this is all about the play. We already discussed the summary, the themes, the soliloquy, and also about the critical readings, the characters, etc. I thought this would be, I know it is so long video, but I tried to include almost all the things in this. I think you are very much it would be very useful video for you, and I will try to reduce the time, but unfortunately when I told or explain all this, it took time, and sorry for taking your time. And let us meet again with another video, and thank you.